Mr. Austin Marvel. Good to talk to you. How you doing today?
Hey, what's happening, man? I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm pumped to be chatting with you. So, plan today, we'll just go through land investing beginning to end, how you're using AI, how I'm using AI, and everything from data through getting leads through closing and each step and what that's like, and then maybe some upcoming trainings and things like that. Sound good?
Yeah, totally. Totally, man. I love land as an asset class. I think it's very slept on and competition is few and far between. So it's a great asset class to be in, especially when you're tying in AI. So I'm excited to talk about what we're going to kind of nerd out on today.
Yeah, for sure. It is slept on. There's so many wholesalers on Twitter and there's so many house wholesalers, and that's been hit hard for a long time and people still crush it. That's what always surprises me. People still crush it in house wholesaling, and it's a very similar model, but like you're saying, I think less competitive, which is exciting, especially with so much leverage with AI now, how quickly and effectively we can do things. But most people have been talked to. Some people even called those numbers back. Majority of people sending letters are not doing it in this hyper professional way. And so they're hard to close a deal with. They don't call back at the exact time they said they would. And so a lot of these people have even had someone not respond or fall through the cracks or be unprofessional. And so when you get on the phone with them and you walk them through the process and they know exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and the process you described, they're almost relieved. They're like, okay, I'm dealing with a professional and he's a local land investor, not just a giant company. That's the type of people that sellers are looking to sell to. Someone who
Yeah.
makes them feel comfortable, is professional, and also isn't a giant company. And that's more rare than you'd expect. And if you can pull that off, I mean, that's why you're crushing it. Part of why you're crushing it, I would guess.
Man, that's so important what you said there. I mean, a couple things, but you're right. A lot of people, there are some bad actors in this space who will send out a bunch of mailers. They'll start a conversation, but they never finish it. They never perform. And being able to kind of start the conversation with that and say, look, I know you're your attorney and your real estate agent. They told you not to talk to people like me, but I just want you to know I'm out here about to go to dinner with my kids and I'm just looking for land because they're not making any more of it. A lot of times that breaks down that barrier. They're like,
Mhm.
okay, okay, he's real. He gets it. I think he's going to help out. And you don't necessarily want them to know that you're professional in land, but you do want them to know that you know what you're talking about. You're confident with the process and you've done it before. Because as soon as they get that feeling that, oh, this guy, he really knows what he's doing, they might think, well, he's probably going to get a really good deal on this piece of land. Otherwise, why would he be interested? So it's a fine line that you have to ride there. But
Well,
it's been really successful, that's for sure.
when that comes up, it's kind of sometimes that's like a part for if you've built some rapport, like a little bit of humor type thing. Like, yeah, of course I'm going to make money. I wouldn't be calling you if I wasn't trying to make a little bit of money off this, but not, I'm not trying to get it for cents on the dollar, but I'm
Yes.
trying to make a few grand here. So,
There's a win-win in almost every situation. Sometimes a piece of land doesn't pencil out as a simple land flip, but if
mhm,
you can control it for 2 years, you might be
mhm,
able to both you might be motivated and they understand, usually they understand that you've gotta be motivated to do it. Otherwise, this is gonna be just another one of those things where you get to it if you get to it. And we've had some deals. We've learned some lessons that way where when we were first starting out, we just weren't really excited about making 4 or $5,000 by really hustling and doing a lot of work. It sounds silly now to be like, you threw away 4 grand, but at the time it was very much like this was one of 15 or 20 notes in our CRM that's like, call them, it might work. It's like on a scale 1 to 10, we'll give this one a solid 3. So if someone's starting out, I would like to go there with this conversation. Say, starting out, don't just blast out mail like we did. Don't make
mhm,
these crazy expensive mistakes. I mean, start by getting around people who have been doing this and listen to their conversations just like this. See what they've done that will help you eliminate losing money and losing your time, which is just as important. Because a conversation with 10 people who are not really interested in selling to you at a good price, that's a lot of time that you'll never get back. So starting with the data is huge. What you just showed, like, man, had I had that 5 years ago where I could eliminate everything that was wet, everything that didn't have frontage, um, that would have been major that way.
Yeah. I like to think about land as a filtering game. You're at the very end and you're going to start out with 100,000 vacant pieces of land in whatever couple counties. And then you want to narrow that down to about 10,000 pieces of land. And then you want to get a hold of those and you're going to narrow those 10,000 down to, let's say 100, 200 people who are maybe interested. And then out of those 200 people that are interested, you want to have short conversations with the ones who are like, we're just kicking tires, and you want to have longer conversations with the next part. And now you're down to like 20 people. And then out of those 20, maybe 1 in 10 is going to get to the actual closing table. So it's like, it's this giant funnel. And how
Yep,
do you most effectively keep the good people and get rid of the people who are not interested at all at each step of the process? And
totally.
it's exceptionally tactical. So if you're a systems person or you like thinking that way, it's a perfect thing for you to go build a whole system around.
Yeah,
On the total opposite end though, like people who are just good at talking crush it and land also. So,
yeah,
if you can do both, then you're gonna be taking over.
absolutely. I mean, you're right about people who are just good at talking. I mean, that's huge because they take crazy action. They have conversations, whether it's online or offline. They might just go meet farmers and they're just talk to a
Mhm.
person.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the phones, you're totally right about the system that funnels down. And once you're at the end of that funnel, talking to someone that has a good property that lives out of state, they inherited this 20 years ago. At that point, it's just consistent communication and then having a really good CRM. You will follow up with that person until they die. Maybe
Mhm.
they're not interested in selling you their property for 100,000. Maybe they said, there's no way in heck I'm going to do that. My granddaddy, his granddaddy had this thing. And for you, that's insulting. Like, all right. Don't get all hot and bothered. I'm just telling you what,
Mhm.
I'll pay for it. I'm not insulting you and telling you what it's worth. I'm telling you what I'll pay for it right now. You don't have to accept it. Then you call them back in 6 months. "Hey, I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas, or Happy New Year's or something. I hope the family as well. It's the best time of year in this region, isn't it?" And then maybe not even bring up the land. That'll throw them for a loop. That'll make them,
Mhm.
"Whoa, that was that guy who wanted to buy my land, but he didn't bring it up."
Yeah.
And then he call them 6, 7 months later, like, "Hey, man, how are things going? Just checking in on you." I mean, these are long conversations that sometimes take a year or 2 to get a really good deal.
Mhm.
And, a lot for all the people who are listening, like, man, that is just a lot of work for just a little bit of money. Well, you're not flipping any houses here. You're not dealing with contractors really. You might have 1 or 2 at most, 3 for a property. And this isn't like you're just waiting on that one person to tell you that they're willing to sell you their land. You're starting with 10,000 a month, which gets niched down to like maybe 20 conversations, and you have to be organized on your CRM. So if someone comes in and they say, "I'm not ready to sell just yet," I can move them into a column months. It won't necessarily be me. I'll put it on to an AI. So tell me a little bit about what you guys would do if that exact scenario happens. Let's say I talk to Grandma Susie and she says, "We just lost our dog. We ain't quite ready to sell this piece of property yet, but maybe in 6, 8, 10 months, reach back out." How do you utilize AI to make sure you're hitting them at that point when you said you were going to?
Yeah. So we have the CRM where everything's going to land in the CRM. So the first thing that we do with AI is we sort the conversations as they come from the cold caller. So they go into the transcript goes into Chat GTP. It sorts for interest level. So we're going to get not interested, bad lead. We're going to be not interested now, maybe later. And then we're going to get like a warm lead. Someone should call this back. So when it
Okay.
first lands in the CRM, it's going to land in the right spot. It's going to land in a column where it's been analyzed. It's going to land in a column where we automatically send them a text message and email every 6 months forever, or every 4 months forever, or it's going to land in a short-term follow-up. This is like this person needs to be contacted over the next month, maybe 4 or 5
Yeah.
times, or it's going to land in call now. And so that's the first thing is it gets sorted by AI. And then what you're talking about would be the human would be sorting it then. Like you make that phone call and this person's like, hey, I'm not ready now. I might sell it someday, or I'm just not really interested. Or,
Right.
oh, I want to sell it for 100 grand. You only want to give me 80 grand. Okay, well, let's just stay in touch. And then you would just drag them straight into the long-term nurture. And then we would every 4 months just send them a re-engagement message. A lot of our engagement messages are structured after Chris Voss, like his whole style of he's empathetic and he's very tactical with his words. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I love using his style for most of our follow-up stuff. The
Right.
short-term nurture would be almost like someone ghosted you. So you talked, so this came in, it got sorted as a good lead, like this person might be ready to sell. And then you're trying to call them and they don't pick up again. And you call them like whatever for a week. You call them 3 times a day for a week or something. However you end up doing that, I can ask about that. But if they don't pick up, then you put them in short-term nurture and then they automatically get these messages and followed up with more aggressively for a month. And then if they don't answer over a month, they go into long-term. So
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
we're using AI to sort. And then with the messages, we are doing both AI generated and like just a standard sequence.
Okay. Cool. So that helps you eliminate some of the human aspect. Humans tend to be lazy and tend to drop the ball sometimes. So it helps you eliminate the human aspect of, dropping the ball. You're utilizing AI versus someone just hopefully remembering to call this person. Now, if you were starting out, you've been in this industry quite a while and you can give some insight to that. But if you were starting out from scratch, what would you do to build a land business from the start? Would you go to one of these third party suppliers who are like, we'll promise you, 12 leads per day or something like that? Would you build your own go high level? Would you get in a community that really teaches you this stuff? What do you think are like some of the top three most important and timely steps if you were to try to get into this business and not waste a bunch of money and time?
Yeah, it's depends on if you're bootstrapping, how much time you have, how much capital you have. So bootstrapping, I would literally go get I would refine the data more because it's going to be just me. And I want to pay for less data and I want to contact less people who are good leads. So I
Mm.
would be really narrow on those filters. So I would say, okay, I want to hit people who've only owned over 5 years. I want only properties in this acreage band that are in this, 2 miles out of this specific city that I know really well.
Right.
And I would kick the road frontage up. I would kick that flood zone filter up. And then I would put a cap on the price. If I didn't have some help with capital, I would say only properties under $100,000 or whatever that is, and
Okay.
over $10,000. So I would narrow more. So instead of grabbing 10,000 records like I would for like me personally would for a county, I'd maybe narrow that down to like 2,000 or 1,000 because you want to have just the as narrow as possible. And then I would
Yeah.
get on the phone and I would call them. So I would set up like a Zendesk or something. I wouldn't just call from my cell phone. And I would just personally start hammering the phones and just get good at it, get good at having conversations. So this is someone who has more time than money and who's ambitious. And once they close their first deal or close 2 or 3 deals, they'll know how the whole process works. And then they could start launching. Once I closed 1 or 2 deals, I would go to I would outsource like a big system, something that can automate and help with everything. So, for example, the reason that I built this in Land AI was I did basically what we're talking about. And then I started building something for myself, and then other people wanted, and I started renting it out. And then I pivoted towards just building the entire system because I realized it was a like monumental task. Building
Y-
full automation from getting the data through closing a deal is monumental. We've been building on it for going on 3 years now, and it's been exceptionally fun. And we have a team of, you know, well, not including cold callers, we have a team of 10 people who are just managing and building the system. And I've got all the cold
Wow.
callers. So yeah, then I'd plug into a reputable cold calling service and reputable CRM service and start outsourcing some of those systems because I think where we're at is that there's going to be haves and haves nots in the land business because AI is helping us move so quickly and be so efficient. There's going to be some people in a county that are operating like us where people get diligent follow-up texts, they get a video from the founder, they get email contact, they see the person's website, they have someone professional they're talking to, follow-ups happen exactly like they say. And then there's going to be kind of other people who are doing one or two of those things.
Yeah.
And I think that it's getting very professionalized. And so hopping into something that's already professionalized and leveraging that would be my tactic for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's major. I mean, the professionalized and the haves and the have-nots, again, so many good one-liners in there. But the the use of AI as this continues to get better and it's starting to become more and more human. What are some really exciting things that your team is building? Because we're so niched already in like not just land, but utilizing AI and raw land as an asset class. And just like anything you can do to step apart or kind of outside of the norm, say, yeah, we're trying this, we're dabbling over here. And that's going to set you apart. And when you use AI, I mean, that's something nowadays that even if it's here today, gone tomorrow, like it's one of those things that you have to step out of the box constantly. So, what are some exciting things that you and your team are building that are utilizing AI on all sorts, like every aspect of this business? What are some things that you're excited about?
I want to just hop straight into the most interesting thing because it's like, I think it's going to be insane how it's so far, how it's working is exceptional. So we're going from the cold caller, and what we were previously doing is dropping those into the CRM, like I talked about earlier, and then sending them through a human lead manager. The biggest hole in most people's land systems is getting people back on the phone and then very diligent follow up. That's the hard part. Like, okay, you have this lead. Now, how do you follow up with them forever? And how do you get them back on the phone in the most reliable fashion? Most land investors aren't going to get back on the phone with that person in 10 minutes, which they should be. And most land investors aren't going to follow up with that person forever. So even if leads are being generated, the amount that is closing is lower than it could be. And so what we're doing now is we're solving that problem. We're taking when we get a cold call, the person's interested, we
Yeah.
live transfer them. We're live transferring them to a conversational AI that is like if you had a world-class salesperson who asked all the right questions in exactly the right tone every single time, 24 hours a day, and just qualified them right now.
Yeah.
Like it's the most fun and beautiful project I've ever worked on because
Oh
like
man.
just tweaking the logic of how this thing thinks, and it thinks like Chris Voss, not to
Yeah.
bury the lead, having like an expert negotiator and then hearing thousands of conversations and how they go and then testing it and then tweaking the way that it approaches every situation and just like refining that sales funnel is a really, really exciting use of AI. And this conversational AI, if people haven't heard a good one yet, it's getting really good. And
Yeah.
so right now we're to the point where it's really good. It's spitting out leads that are either this person's worth talking to or this person's not.
Let's
Eh,
go. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I
And
mean, and you guys
that's
have
now.
millions, millions of conversations that you're having, like, so you can truly see this worked, this didn't work, this worked, this didn't work. You have the data points
Exactly.
to back it up.
Exactly. So
Amazing.
and then what we're doing is we're taking all those conversations and we're putting them into a RAG or what's called like a vector database. So we're storing all of the transcripts into a large database so that our AI can now start referencing. We haven't got to the referencing our database yet, but we're collecting all the data, and our V2 we're going to start referencing all those conversations as well. So we've been training on it, but we haven't live referenced all the past conversations. But that is the next iteration of the build, which we're talking like a month or two away. Stuff
Yeah.
moves.
Yeah.
So there's going to
Man,
be people doing that type of thing for land deals, and then there's going to be people sending mailers and missing phone calls. It's exciting.
man, that's really exciting. And one thing I mentioned earlier that I'd like to touch on is the community aspect. I mean, as you know, I founded this thing, the Land League, and we're going into something called the Land League Academy, where, I have zero interest in becoming like the land guru or being one of those internet gurus. Not interested in that. But I've come from some solid communities like Sub2 and one called Owners Club. I've been through a handful of communities enough to know what a really good community looks like online and then what one that's like they just collected my $3,500 and then gave me a couple of Zoom recordings and PDFs and sent out some emails. There's good and bad. And the good ones, they're hosting meetups, they're doing these like in-depth trainings, they're getting professionals on just like this who are like really diving into the data, not just a podcast, but an actual webinar where we're breaking down exactly which counties and which states and certain regulations and stuff. And the in-person meetups are major. So that's why we founded the land league, just because we saw a gap. We saw a lot of people that weren't meeting up who were doing land and had questions that they wanted answered in person. So we're really trying to provide as much value as possible for people to be able to utilize AI and build a land business. Because for a lot of people, let's be honest, this is a low priority until they start making money on it. It starts as a side hustle and then they do a deal or two per year, and then they do 3 or 4 per year, and they very slowly grow. But if you have 4 or 5, there's a lot of high income earners who have 4 or 500,000 dollars a year that they have to replace. I mean, that is just it's just amazing because you can do it with AI quicker than ever before. We're going into a place where there are haves and have nots in the world, especially in this land business. And if you're not around people who are breaking the mold, as you will, as you just did with AI, and talking about numbers that they're making that are like, yeah, it's normal to make 1 million or 2 a year. You're not going to think that that's even possible. So community is something that I'm very heavily leaned into in the land space. I don't think there's enough of it because there's no HGTV show about people flipping land quite yet.
Yeah,
Not
not
yet.
yet, huh?
Maybe we'll be the first. Who
There we
knows?
go. So land league is, yeah, that's a fantastic idea. And what's your thought on what happens in the community? So there's meetups, which is,
Yeah.
and we're talking about like mastermind style meetups or like 200-person event style meetups. Like, how do you see that short term, long term? What a good community look like to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like the idea of the bigger stuff where I can get 100 people together in a room from developers, flippers, landowners, farmers, just all the people who want to learn about land and get them all in the room with some of the brightest minds. Bring some people in who do exactly what you were just saying, really scaling it in a way to where you can be on the right side of the fence and you're around other people who are sharpening your axe just by being themselves. And a lot of people, when they're new, they think they have imposter syndrome. They're like, I don't belong in that room. I don't need to be there. But being new is like that's such a big deal because you're just so moldable and pliable and you can be around like the best people. And if you start around people who are doing 10, 15 transactions a quarter, you're more like you might be stressed out, like, "This is a lot. This is a lot to build." But you can ask them that question. If you were to go back from scratch, how would you start now? And they'll very simply break it down as you did. Here's 10 steps you can follow and it'll happen. You just got to keep working the system. So I want to cultivate that room, 220 to 10 people at a time. Obviously, the smaller, more intimate groups, those will be more mastermind, like a boot camp. We're planning our next boot camp, which is you show up and we break down for 3 days exactly how to build out your CRM, which marketing channels you've got, and how to work each of them. And then by the time you leave that weekend, you've got a Rolodex of 15, 20 people who are just great contacts, private money lenders, developers, people who can help you get to where you need to be. But then you've also got a business in a box, a land business that you created. It's not like someone just gave it to you on a silver platter. You built it in the room with people over 3 days. So you're all working the same system. And by the time you plug in mail, cold call, text, these follow up sequences, by the time you follow all that up, you've got a fully functioning land business and you just push send and you're sending out your first campaign to, I don't know, Georgia, Tennessee, California, wherever you want to start marketing to. Uh, that's what I'm really excited about, being able to teach people about the magic of this business. I mean, we just bought a neighborhood with no banks and none of our own money. I never thought that was real. It's like 2 minutes from the beach, and we bought it for half the price what it's worth. So something that a lot of people, if I told them the details of that story, it would blow their minds. And it's just another deal that we've done. So I need to be able to show people what's really possible at scale here and have other people like you who have come in and seen millions of dollars of transactions and data points over hundreds and thousands of monthly calls. I mean, you can share vital information. So just trying to cultivate the room is all I'm trying to do here, brother.
Yeah, and it the shortcut is the biggest piece of advice. If I was talking to someone who's take a shortcut, like find a mentor or find a group who knows all the shortcuts. I started I've had 10 businesses. And 3 years ago, when I came into land, the reason I had hired a mentor. Finally, I was like, "Hey, I need like shortcuts because all these businesses, none of them, they've worked, I've made money, obviously, but none of them like took off like I wanted." And when I hired a mentor, this was just a general person. I'm like, dude, let me just give you money and talk to me about business. Once I did that, everything shifted. It's like he gave me 30 years of shortcuts and just like, oh, you think about it this way. What if you thought about it this way? Oh, what if you use this tool? And then all of a sudden it was like everything started clicking. And so
Yeah.
even outside of land, like finding someone who's done it before, even if you have to pay them, it's worth it 10x. It's such a hack in general for
Well,
life.
yeah, man, the experts know this. The experts who have been in the game, they're willing to pay to go to someone's mastermind. And it's not because they're willing to go, they're not going there necessarily to learn the latest and greatest thing. I've been to plenty of these groups where I'm like, why are you here? You just bought 6 hotels in the last 6 months.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, they tell me consistently one thing. They're like, I'm here to be in the room. And I don't want what you have. Like, I don't want you to give me your advice. But for the last 35 years, you've been building up contacts. You have an amazing Rolodex of people that you could call on a dime. And by me coming and being your friend, if I need someone who can help me get an airplane at a really good deal and preferably do it owner finance, I know you got a guy. You just told me you got a guy. So they go to these events they don't know what's going to happen, but it will be good. They go there, they bring value 9 times out of 10, one way or another, they're going to bring value and get a lot out of it. So it has almost nothing to do with the context. It's more about the contacts that you make at this mastermind, this seminar, this meetup. If you're just an expert networker, you're going to find a bunch of problem solvers and you're all like fixing problems together. It's incredible what happens at these things. So yeah, shortcuts. Find people who don't just go straight up the trail, but they know how
Yeah.
to navigate the switchbacks. Get a good
Yeah.
Sherpa, right? A good guide.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Get a good shirt. I went to Land Closers Academy in Texas and like,
Oh, you did.
yeah, I went
Tell me
there.
a
It
little
was,
bit about that.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a good example. Like I was there and all the speakers and stuff, there wasn't really anything new, but on the side, getting food during the lunch, I talked to Justin. He's like, "Hey, where you get your data from?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm using Versium." And I was like, "Oh, I'm using a direct skip right now. And I'm charging like, I'm paying 3 cents a record when I buy in bulk." And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, you need to get over with Versium. Their data is just as good." And it was like, oh, what am I? I'm like a cent or something. So it was like,
Yeah.
he cut 66% off my data. And I spent a lot on data where, we're talking
Yeah.
like tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And so I spend a grand, 2 grand or whatever to go on this trip. And then I find just through a random conversation, something that saves me tens of thousands of dollars. And it's just, yeah, it's just having conversations with people who are doing it and know what's going on and finding
Yeah.
angles. And it's unlimited values there for sure.
May, you nailed it on the head. I mean, the amount of money making that happens is usually it's indirect and it's
Mhm.
out in the hallways. It's by the
Yeah.
coffee. It's in the bathroom. You could be, on the urinal next to somebody and you're like, hey, what do you just like how you did? What are you doing in this? And then they'll save you hundreds of thousands of dollars or they'll make you millions of dollars. They'll be like, oh yeah, you need to contact this guy. He's buying a lot in that market. You can't move that property. I got a guy.
Mhm.
And you never know what kind of problems can be solved until you go to these things. So that's why the highest level people, they're willing to pay 30, $40,000 a year. I have a friend that's paying $250,000 a year to be in a mastermind where they go once to 3 times a year. They meet up like, in Moab or Coeur d'Alene
Oh,
or,
wow.
Zion or something. And they just do like 3 or 4 days of getting to know each other, hashing out each other's problems. And they're around other people who also paid that money to be in that room. So if this guy next to me paid $250,000 to be here, he's got some serious business that can allow him to do that. And he's got some serious problems that potentially I could help him solve. And it will be a win-win, mutually beneficial. So that is like, it's so hard to sell people on that until they go to their first one. They're like, oh man, that lit a whole new fire in my belly. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's not what we realized anyway.
And so, yeah, you're talking about two different types of programs for land AI, like the mastermind aspect where people get together and share ideas. And then you're also hit on the boot camp aspect, which is almost like a little mini hackathon, like where
Yeah.
we can come and then, okay, let's everyone today, we're picking data and we're going to do research, market research, and everyone's going to pick counties and we're all going to pull data. And then the
Yeah.
next day, we're going to, how to manage that data, how to set up your CRM, how to follow up, and we'll get the call system set up. And the next
Yep.
day, maybe we would make calls and start pushing through the system and get the follow up automations. That's such a cool concept of just over a couple day weekend or a long weekend, just actually hammering out an entire business where someone can go home and be
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm in the land business now and I have all the tools.
Right. I mean, look at it this way, man. I want to be respectful of our time. I know we're coming up on an hour, but you and I have both spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to build our current businesses today. Like where we're at today, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes, lost deals, of bad data, employees, all sorts of things that it's ended up being like, are we making money? Is it a wash? Like now you're to the point to where you've made some money, you've got a really solid business system. And I'm not saying just you in general, that whoever's listening, you've built this business. It's taken you incredible amount of action and heartache and hearing no a lot and losing money year over year over year over year until you got this system that like it works. It doesn't lose money anymore. There's a ton of money in a business banking account and you've got happy customers and you can just over and over and over rinse and repeat. And there's obviously a lot of trials that come with being a business owner, but by going to like a five to $10,000 boot camp or mastermind or just being in an environment where people have all done that, everyone's done their own version of that, and you get to bounce ideas off each other. Well, now all of a sudden you're talking about like you get to skip that $200,000, $300,000 worth of mistakes, and you're right there starting where everybody has like taken 5 years to get to. So shortcuts galore, man. It is the life hack to get in the room. So,
Yeah.
anyways, man, I think that's just what sets people apart. The human element of this business.
Yeah, I've got a fun AI hack, pretty rad to share, and then and then we'll let you kind of let people know where to find the land
Yeah,
league and the school
yeah,
group
yeah.
and things like that. But so what I built, basically, it's simple. So get a transcriber for calls. So like Otter, I like Otter transcribing because it transcribes live, and so you can
Hmm.
pull up on your second screen and you can have the live transcription of the conversation you're having.
Yeah,
Then prior to that conversation, build a custom GPT for whatever the conversation is going to be about. So I've built these for negotiation bots. Like if I'm doing a business deal and I'm talking to someone and I have like this real specific outcome I need, then I build it's all primed on Chris Voss negotiation tactics and it like how to answer the questions. And it outputs like, here's the angle they're trying to work. Here's our outcome. Here's like a transition sentence to get it back on track to like maintain control of the conversation. So then you're having like this negotiation, you're grabbing the live conversation, dropping it in a custom GPT, and then it's like this little helper that's like, hey, watch out for this, or hey, do this negotiation. But then I use that on interviews also, like when I'm interviewing employees. And that's helped a lot because I want to be real specific about finding people who are action oriented, like tactical, clear thinkers, and people are good at making stuff up on interviews. And so, like,
yeah,
keeping the questions not like what you did in the past, but like, how would you think about this? And then having that help me analyze it and ask follow up questions. And then the other thing that you could build a custom GPT for would be land sales calls. I haven't done this, and you wouldn't even need to do this because you already know how to do it. But if someone has more of an engineering mind than a sales mind, then
yeah.
building the custom GPT that can prompt them while they're on a call with someone is a sweet little AI hack. So anyway, there's a little nugget for fun for people to go out and just play with.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. I need you to write that one down and send it to me. That's pretty good. So
Yeah.
for anyone starting out, I mean, we talked about getting in a community, having a solid CRM, pick your market, know your data and what you're looking for, and utilize AI. I mean, that tool that you just said it's got to be close to free if it isn't. And
Yeah, Otter subscription and custom and ChatGTP subscription, and there it is.
and right there, I mean, you've got an expert AI negotiator, so you can call someone. The call is getting transcribed in real time, and you've got an AI telling you exactly what to say tactically, which can think quicker than anybody. It can handle a lot more data all at once. It's an incredible thing. That's wow, mind blowing. This is why I'm in the room. Thank you, thank you for having me, dude. This
For
is
sure, for
good
sure.
stuff.
Yeah, great to talk to you, man. This was really fun. So, if people want to hang out and share AI ideas, land tactics, or learn or share, get in the room. We're at school, the Land League.
Yes.
We have it's free right now. So it's likely won't be free forever because, everything has diminishing returns as it gets bigger. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll put the link in the link so people can just find it, come join the school group and say hi and ask any
Yeah.
questions.
We made the school community, the Facebook community free, but you know how that is. If you get a brand new Corvette and you don't have to pay for it, well, a little curb rash on the wheels doesn't hurt. You got to enjoy the drive. But if you saved up for years and you paid for that Corvette, you are going to baby that thing. You'll garage it. You'll get it detailed twice a month. And that's kind of the psychology of this. We'll maybe let the first 500 to 1,000 people in there. We'll teach them a lot and give them a incredible amount of value. And then let the people who have been in it really step up as leaders and come to our boot camps and be a part of that and start running this community together. Because truly, I mean, it the weight is on our shoulders to change the perception that all of the bad actors have gone out and created just by being lazy or lackadaisical in this business. So by curating an awesome room, an awesome community that just wants to give and help people, and we utilize AI to do it at scale, I mean, we're going to change the entire industry of land flippers and developers.
Big time. So fun. We're crushing it. Good stuff, Austin. It's been a pleasure doing business with you and chatting with you and building with you. This is a great time to be doing land and just all of this. So yeah, excited to meet people in our group too. And, go. I'm most excited for the boot camp when that pops up too. So look
That's good.
forward.
Yeah. We'll have to do it down in your neck of the woods, Southern
Yeah.
California.
There we go. Santa Cruz Mountains.
Let's go.
Santa Cruz
Yeah, that'll
Mountains.
work.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, guy. We'll talk to you
All
soon,
right, man.
Austin. Good to talk to you.
Likewise. Have a good one.